Hello again, beautiful people. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Crystal, and on my channel, I like to talk about all things crafty. So I am not solely just a journaler. I also really like to do mixed media projects and just pretty much any kind of arts and craft project I can get my hands on. That being said, I was on YouTube 2 months back and I came across the world of Rolodex art. Now, for some reason, I hadn't heard of it before, but it was very popular a couple years back, and that's what I'm going to talk to you guys about today. So, Rolodexes. This is a vintage Rolodex, the traditional kind that you will probably think of when you hear the word Rolodex. Now, Rolodexes traditionally were used in an office setting as kind of like an address book. So they had these little cards where you wrote, contact information and things like that. And in recent years, they have taken this concept and shifted from doing addresses and having it be more like mini art cards. So Rolodexes, you can still use them for addresses, recipes. You can use them for poetry, book reviews, art supply swatches. You can even have them be journal prompts or make miniature artist trading cards. It's really, really versatile. So, that being said, in today's video, I'm going to show you all the different ways that I used my Rolodex, or that I'm starting to use it for, and just some couple of inspiration and spark starters if this is something you want to look into in the future. So, for Rolodex art, the one thing that you're going to need is an actual Rolodex of some kind. Now, this one here is a vintage Rolodex, I think from the 70s, that I found on eBay. It has very small card. It came with like all of the original address cards that I'm not really sure how I'm going to use those, or if I'm going to want to use them. But yeah, so this is a vintage one. You can still find like newer ones on Amazon for roughly $30 to $40, I think, but you really do not have to spend more than that or that at all if you don't want to. So this is a traditional Rolodex. Now, Heidi Swapp a couple years ago came out with their version, and they call it a MemoryDex. So this is like a spinning Rolodex, and yeah. So this one, I think you could probably get for like $19 to probably $25. I got this one on Amazon. They did have colored ones at some point. Like, I think they had a mint one and a pink one. I was looking everywhere for the mint one because mint is my color, but I couldn't find it, so I settled for black. Now, you could also make your own. I will link a video that I found of, I think her name is Palooza, where she made her own Rolodex container thing, and they're very easy to do. But if you are not, inclined to make one, you could purchase a pre-made one. Now, I bought one off of Etsy, and this is called, I think the maker Jen, she calls it a Catalogdex. I'm going to be completely honest. When I first purchased this, I did not know the backstory behind the company. So a little information here. This is a company run by Jen and her husband, Roger. And they like to go out and they buy repurposed wood and kind of reuse it and make these catalog decks as a way to help recycle and reuse and just like renew already existing materials, which I thought was phenomenal. So she included a letter with mine to let me know that my particular Catalogdex was made from wood that was repurposed from a 1920s farmhouse. And I think that is so unique, and it just makes this so much more special to know that my Catalogdex had a previous life before coming to me. And the fact that it was part of a farmhouse is just great because, like, I've mentioned it before, but I love cows. So yeah, I just think that's wonderful that, you know, this is their way of recycling and trying to minimize waste by taking something that was going to be discarded and then repurposing it into something beautiful. So yes, if you're watching this, Jen, thank you so much. I absolutely adore my Catalogdex. I will link where I bought this below. She has a variety of different colors and different distressed woods if that's what you're looking for. But all right, so now that we talked about the base, we should talk about the cards or the supplies that you would need to complete this project. Now, if you're buying a Rolodex off of Amazon or eBay, sometimes they will already have cards included like this, and you could totally paint over these or collage over them and use them in some capacity. But if you're like me and you don't particularly like working on surfaces that already have print on them, there's another option. You can actually buy blank Rolodex cards. So I bought this set off of Amazon, and it came with 100 blank cards that are already pre-punched. So that's another thing that I'll talk about too, is that the holes that you would need are a little bit unique for the Rolodexes. But I'll talk about ways that you can get this if you're not into buying pre-punched cards. So yeah, this one I purchased off of Amazon. The only downside with this is that it is very small. You can see it's, what is it? 2 1/4 inch by 4 inches. So that to me is like really, really narrow. I mean, it fits perfectly for the smaller ones, but I need a larger surface area. But yeah, so I have these, and of course they handle wet medium okay, not the greatest. You could prep these with gesso if you want to make it a little bit more a better area, surface area to work on for like mixed media stuff. But yeah, so there's that. Heidi Swapp, like I mentioned, they have their MemoryDex series, and part of that series is they actually sell their own pre-punched cards. So I purchased a pack. I think it's like a pack of 100. And I like these better than these smaller ones, mainly because of the size difference. Like, it's significantly taller. And these are made to fit the the MemoryDex with a little bit of extra room there at the bottom. And these cards fit in the Catalogdex and the vintage Rolodex. They're just a little bit taller. So I picked this particular set just because I liked the black and white graphic on the bottom of the cards. I thought that was really cool. So yeah. Now, let's say that you don't want to buy pre-purchased or pre-made, pre-punched cards. Heidi Swapp has their own MemoryDex Rolodex punch, and I have used this quite a bit to make my own cards for this. You can use it. So what I did was I used scrapbook paper, watercolor paper, and I think, yeah, craft paper, the craft cardstock, and I measured 4 by 4. So I think the benefit of having a Catalogdex or Rolodex that's set up like this is that you're not limited with how tall your card can be, which to me is great because I can make all of these cool, you know, various size cards and not have to worry about it not turning like with the Heidi Swapp one. So yeah, so I measured 4 by 4 and then I took my punch. So like here's a blank one, and it does have like measuring like marks along the edge. I'm not super into making things exact, so it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, you could use that to help guide where you're gonna have your punch. But yeah, so super easy. Card is ready to use, just like minimal effort. Heidi Swapp also, and if you don't want to go the Heidi Swapp route here, I think you can find these dies pretty much anywhere. If you just look up Rolodex dies. I found a whole bunch on AliExpress. I didn't buy them, but you could if you wanted to go that route. But they, Heidi Swapp also has die cuts. So if you have a die cut machine, you could run this through all your scrapbook paper and have them already, it has the holes in it and just these unique shapes. So I'm going to show you a couple of cards that I punched using these. But yeah, so let's say you don't want to purchase the punch, you don't have a die cutting machine, and you don't want to buy these pre-made cards because, you know, let's say you have a bunch of scrapbook paper like I do and you want to use it all. I will link a video also by Palooza where she shows how you can punch your own cards using just a regular hole punch and a ruler. So, and that is the cards. So, I will also say that Jen over at Catalogdex on Etsy, she does have like pre-made packs that you can buy for your catalog decks. So I have a couple of the packs here that I will talk to you guys about. She has like this bright grid set, which was my absolute favorite. I've been really into neons lately, but she sells it's a pack of 24 bright grid cards already cut and punched in various sizes. She has here, she also sells, I think these are just craft paper ones or like brown craft cardstock. These I thought were really interesting. These are textured cards. So they kind of remind me of wallpaper, which I feel like that's what it might be. And these come in a pack of 12 and they like variety of textures and sizes. And I did use I did use one of almost all of the packs just to kind of show you how they perform and some ideas with them. But yeah, I just want to talk about also how beautifully they're packaged. So she also, oh, and I'm going to say like these extra packs she included as like a special gift, and I really, really appreciate it. I loved all of the packs that she offers. She also sent the sticker release pack. Like, let me just read that again. A sticker release pack, which I think is thebomb.com. Like, this is a great way to put stickers that you want to use up in your catalog decks. And instead of having to like carry sheets with you or like have them in a bin like I usually do, you can already have it in the back of your catalog decks ready to go, which is great. I subscribed to Sticky Club for a few months, so I have a bunch of sticker sheets that I've been trying to use up, and this is just like a really fun way to do that, I think. But yeah, so various sizes, and I didn't unwrap it because I wanted you to see how she ties them all together. It's just so well packaged. But yeah, so she offers all of those in her shop, and then she also offers, I think, like paper clips and tassels that match your box. And I got one of those too. So I got a couple of her paper clips actually. These really pretty tulle ones. Like I said, I've been really digging the neon. And then my favorite one is this one here. Like, look at how gorgeous that is. Like all my favorite colors. Anyway, so that was Catalogdex. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of different things that you can use. I think these are a great way to use up scrapbook paper that you have lying around, but also probably one of my favorite things that I'm going to use are freaking Project Life cards. I don't know about you guys, but this thing, like, these things are like freaking glitter in my craft room. I have hundreds of these cards. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought them. I don't know in what world I thought I was going to go through full freaking sets of Project Life cards. I don't even do Project Life. I thought, ooh, tip-ins for my journal. How neat. And I kept buying them and I never used them. And so they're just taking up space. And you know, you can't sell them because everybody else has them and you would lose so much money. So they just kind of sit in a dark corner of my craft room. And I figured these are perfect for this project. Like with this punch, I could very easily make beautiful cards. And I, like, for those days that I don't really feel like making a background, boom, background. So easy. And look at that. Fits perfect. Fits perfect. And fits. It's just great. So I am excited to use up these for this project. But I've talked about all the different punches, the die cuts, the pre-punched cards, the Etsy sellers. So let's talk about how I actually used it. So my very first card that I made, absolutely beautiful. I used one of these from the neon colored pack with some of my stamped papers, and this is images from Courtney Diaz, and I made the little body from Courtney Diaz and just a sticker. Beautiful, simple. It took me 5 minutes to do. Now, another way, or another couple of other things that I use, I thought was a good way to use up supplies, is I used die cuts. So similar with the Project Life thing, I have a bunch of unused die cuts. I don't know why I thought that I could use them in my journal. They're so thick and it's just like too bulky for Tomoe River paper in my opinion. So they're just kind of sitting there. But this is like really easy. It was a random die cut of a house. I put a Tim Holtz quote, stamped it, and boom, that's it. Like 2 minutes. You can also stamp tags. So same thing. I took a tag, a die cut, put some fabric at the top, stamped a little quote or phrase, and that was it. Now, something else that I did that I thought was really cool was I used that the Heidi Swapp die to cut out 2 different cards. So for this project, you could also just print out photos for memorable occasions, punch them, and write a quick little what's going on in the photo. And this would be a great way to memorialize important moments. You could also use it to use up extra photos. I don't know about you guys, but when I go on vacation, I take hundreds of photos, select maybe 3 or 4 to put in my journal, and I don't do anything else with the rest of them. Sometimes I will print out a bunch of photos and only use a handful and have all of these left over. Like, case in point, I have this pouch from Sojourner that has all of my photos that I had printed from older, like, you know, vacations and things that didn't make it into my journal. And they're just sitting here. So this would be a great way to use that. I mean, if you don't have the die, you don't need to have it cut it out perfectly. You could just take a regular photo, punch it, and that's it. So yeah, I really, really liked this idea of just using photos of special moments or like leftover photos for here. I also used that die to cut up one of the leftover cards that I made when I did my alcohol ink video, and I attached some vellum, and that's it. So super fun. I also used, so I wanted to use some of the textured pages that came, the textured cards that came from Catalogdex. And the first one, I wanted to kind of highlight the raised bumps using some gilded wax, I think it is. So I sprayed it first with some Dilutions ink sprays. I diluted the spray with some water, and then I took my finger, warmed up the gold wax, and then just rubbed it over. I wasn't really sure how the raised texture was going to work with gluing things on there, because typically things don't glue very well. So I took this piece of a vellum die cut that I had, and I took my Tim Holtz tiny attacher and just a Tim Holtz phrase. I will say that I like the back of this card. That's the thing that I noticed with the textured paper, is that for some reason the color it spread to the back, and I think it just looks really cool. So yeah, and I discovered that with this card that I liked how the back looked with the wet medium. So with this next one, I wanted to create like a double-sided art doll thing with some vellum. I cut out some vellum wings, tiny attach them. These little guys I made following a tutorial by Courtney Diaz. It's one of her older tutorials on Patreon, and I really liked it, so I made a whole bunch in bulk, and then I just scanned them so I could reuse them over and over again. But yeah, this one, I will say I had a really hard time with this texture, getting color to stay vibrant. Like everything I put on here bled over to the back and just looked so much more than the front. Like, see here, I used Jane Davenport's Mermaid Marker, bright blue, and you can't really tell, but look at how it bled on the back. So I was slightly confused by how vibrant it looked on the back, but not on the front. So then I tried to put oil pastels, neo colors, just whatever I could to try and get some kind of color on the front. But I found that the back, for some reason, just worked better. But yeah, so I made those. These 4 cards, and I do have footage of me making them. I don't know if you'd be interested in seeing it or not, but I made these 4 art cards using the Heidi Swapp pre-made cards, the lined ones, and these I made in bulk. So the cool thing about working on small cards is like you could tape, so I taped all of these down on one piece of like scratch paper, and I made the background in bulk. So it was like a batch thing, and I think that's really neat with these. You could create a bunch of backgrounds at once and then just have your cards set aside and work on them later. But yeah, so I made these backgrounds and then covered them up. I had made printed papers using an old book. That's a hand-carved stamp. This is a Tim Holtz the Tim Holtz like dolls, like the set of people that he sells, and I took an alcohol marker and colored in her dress. This is from a new sticker book that I got that I'm not a huge fan of, so I tried to use it up. And then I put, so it was just, it was blank, and then I put a Tim Holtz saying in the blank spot. So it looks like if it's all one piece, but it's actually 2 stickers layered together. Same thing here. This was a frame sticker, a Tim Holtz paper doll thing. And this one I colored in, what did I use? I think I just used like the dilution sprays, and I took a paintbrush and dyed the color a little bit. I think that's how I made that one. But yeah. So that's my intended purpose for this, is just to play and do like art cards and stuff. But if that's not what you want to do and you want to be, you know, you want to have more options. So I saw that some people used Rolodexes for what their original purpose was, which was they did it for contact information. Like someone did, like they put a picture of the person and their birthday and their address and phone number, and you could do that. So I made my own version of it. So it's like a contact card, information card, but for myself. So I just did it as like an introduction card of like pretty much base layer stuff of who I am as a person. Like I talked about my favorite shows. So I put my favorite shows are The Office and 90 Day Fiance. I struggle to finish TV shows, so I rewatch ones I've previously seen. I love watching scary movies, but I'm also afraid of the dark. I love any and everything in turquoise, mint, and teal. I have crazy detailed dreams. I love cows, cheese, and jellyfish. My best friend is Lucy, and I am a collector of small things. So I thought that this was a really cute way. Oh, and I'm always saying cool beans, so that's what that is. I really liked this. I feel like I mean, in my journals, I write about my life and my thoughts, but I feel like I don't really do like mini bios where it's just like random tidbits of information like this about myself all in one place. So I actually really liked how this came out. And this was just on some scrapbook paper. And then this cool like lime green sticker is actually from Jeannie's Patreon, and I will link it down below. She's the sweetest. She just started one, and it's so great. You should totally check her out. She does like really cool like alien themed stuff, but really adorable. But yeah, so I used that for this, and I had a lot of fun, and I really, really like this. I mean, you could do this for yourself, for members of your family. If you have children, you could probably do it for your kids too, like in the moment, like, you know, in 2022, like my child's favorite color was this. This was their favorite show at the time. And you could make one for every year and have just a really cool way to like snapshot of that year. So I like that more than I thought. Another thing that you could do is I took watercolor paper and I just played around with some of my watercolors to come up with new mixes. You could make your own favorite color palettes, like what colors you like work together. If you get new supplies, you could swatch them. Yeah, I think this is really fun too. And I know that Jen over at Catalogdex, I think she also sells pre-made cards that have like printed images of like watercolor palettes and things like that. And like it already has the spots printed on there for you to like swatch your supplies. So this is also like I thought really cool. Another thing that I thought you could use it for would be book reviews or book quotes. So this is a book that I read in 2019, I think, or maybe 2020. But it's called The Shadows by Alex North, and I think it's just like great. So I gave it 5 stars. It's just, it is so well written, it's also very, very quotable. So I just, real simple, I took a monster from Courtney Diaz and made it seem like it was peeking over. Small printed photo of the book, and I put a quote. So, he was a timid boy, shy and sweet and defenseless, always desperate to please the whole world, but never sure what it wanted. And if you've read the book, then you'll understand like why that quote I felt was significant. But yeah, so that was just a couple of ways that you could use it. I am going to continue making like little mini art cards and doing like the photos. You could even do, if you travel and you have a lot of like travel ephemera left over, you could punch and put that in here too. That is the benefit of having a Rolodex that is flat like this. You're not limited to the height. If you go the Heidi Swapp route, you are going to be kind of stuck with how tall your cards can be. So just keep that in mind. Like, I don't think, yeah, like this one won't work in here because he's too tall. See, like, I wouldn't be able to do that. So yeah, keep that in mind if you're looking to make, or you know, to have a little more freedom in your size cards. But yeah, so that is Rolodex in a nutshell. If you guys are going to work on Rolodex stuff, please let me know. I would love to see it. I've been like obsessively watching videos and looking at people on Instagram to like get inspiration from. And I think that it's really cool. And I mean, who knows? Maybe if I get to a point, like I wouldn't mind doing like card swaps with people to build up my catalog decks. I think that'd be really fun, like a little art card swap. So anywho, thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you so much for being patient with this. I do live overseas, so I had to wait a little bit for all of the different pieces to come in. And then I wanted to give myself time to kind of get familiar with the materials and just like different ways that I could use it. But yeah, okay. Like as I was saying, you guys have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day and bye.